want to crank up the volume to 11 when you're playing these games. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 modern video game soundtracks. For our list, while we usually stick to one title per franchise, we've decided to allow overall series when we couldn't lock it down to just one game. We've ranked the soundtracks from the 6th generation of consoles and later. Anything earlier will be in our retro video game soundtrack clip. And remember, we're focusing on soundtracks as a whole, not just one-off themes, as we already have lists for that. Lastly, games that used licensed tracks are excluded, so no dice, GTA.
What?
Number 10, God of War series. Since the first game, the music in this series has carried the tone. The composers use a range of orchestral themes to help establish the title's epic feel. It's not like we need any more motivation to help Kratos take revenge, but the inspiring music certainly helps. The use of ancient and ethnic instruments gives it a unique sound. Number 9, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. Considering that this game tells the story of a gamer and bass player, it's not surprising that it had a great soundtrack. Chiptune punk band Anamanaguchi scored the side-scrolling brawler, and their synthesized, arcade-sounding music is a perfect match for the game's quirky visuals. We've got one editor here at WatchMojo who has this soundtrack playing on his iPod constantly, and we can't say we blame him. Number 8, Crysis 2. Hans Zimmer is one of the most sought-after composers in Hollywood, so trying his hand at video game scoring is not all that surprising. The result is that the orchestral sound that Zimmer perfected in movies like Inception and The Dark Knight translates perfectly into the dark, post-apocalyptic world of Crysis. If you have to kick alien ass, you might as well hear some awesome music while you're doing it.
Remember me.
Number 7, Final Fantasy X. This was the first title in the series with voice acting and fully three-dimensional areas, as opposed to pre-rendered backgrounds, and the music was equally innovative. It was the first time that composer Nobuo Uematsu had help composing for the games, as they created a score consisting of over 4 hours of music, ranging from solo piano to pulsing techno. It just nudges ahead of Final Fantasy XIII, thanks to the recent remaster giving the soundtrack a full facelift. Number 6, Assassin's Creed series. This series revolves around modern-day people reliving historical conflicts. Appropriately, the soundtracks combine old-sounding music with modern vibes, and each of the series' soundtracks fits the theme of their game rather well. For example, with the first game being set in Jerusalem, the music has a biblical tone, while in the fourth game, the pirate theme makes you feel like a true swashbuckler. Number 5. Elder Scrolls series. This powerful RPG franchise made the leap to consoles with Morrowind, and its music was an equivalent step forward for the series. Composer Jeremy Sewell's use of stirring strings and booming percussion matches the epic quality of each game. As the gameplay in the series continued to progress, Sewell matched the developer's work. For Skyrim, he added a 30-man choir, which he layered 3 times to sound like 90 voices. Number 4. Portal 2. The soundtrack for this puzzle platformer contains both a score and individual songs, all of which perfectly complemented the inventive game. Composer Mike Moraski created a score which is generated in real time based on gameplay, leading to music which takes over 70,000 years to repeat itself. Indie rockers The National and Jonathan Colton wrote the songs, both of which helped to establish the game's powerful emotions. Number 3. Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead did an incredible job of establishing its Western setting, and the score, by Bill Elm and Woody Jackson, had no small part in its success. They used instruments found in cowboy films and consulted traditional Western musicians to create music that fit the title. Nothing screams Wild West like hearing a fiddle and jaw harp as you ride on horseback carrying your revolver. Number 2. Shadow of the Colossus. Colossus would be a good way to describe Ko Otani's score for this game. Though the epic orchestral score is only heard during cutscenes and when you encounter the titular giants, the music manages to be just as impressive as the Colossi themselves. Just listen to this theme while taking on the third Colossus. Now I know what the next Godzilla film needs to include. Before we get to our number 1, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Number 1. Bastion. Modern video game music has come a long way since the early days of beeps and bloops, but this action RPG's achievements stand alone.
Gods ain't gonna help you, son. You'll be sorry for what you've done. Then God's gonna hurt you, son, when you play with the loaded
composer Darren Korb describes the sound as acoustic frontier trip-hop, and the bizarre hybrid of bluegrass and techno is perfect for the game's trippy, self-reflexive tale. By the way, Joss Whedon fans, does this tune remind you of anything? There are so many amazing soundtracks that it's impossible to cover them all. So let us know which tunes you have playing on your iPod, and for more immersive top 10s published daily, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.